For most of the history of software, building something meant you had to know how to code. But suddenly, people who never thought of themselves as developers are building things.
Every generation, there is this technological advancement where the old guard starts complaining and the new guard creates this new way of doing things, but then the new guard becomes the old guard, right?
And right now, that cycle might be happening again because AI tools are expanding who gets to build.
It's exponentially more democratized than it was. Like people who embrace change, people who like engaging with new perspectives are the people who are going to thrive in this new world.
That's Ron Dawson, filmmaker, brand strategist, and the new content and marketing lead at Replit. And he's been thinking a lot about what happens when new tools change who gets to build. So here's the question we're unpacking today. Is AI lowering the bar or raising the ceiling? Let's get into it.
Do you have a relaxation technique before recording?
No. Do you?
I think I like say a little thing in my head, like I'm like, good show.
Really? What about you, Ron? Do you do something to relax before getting on stage?
No, because I'm usually setting up like literally like a minute before. So I think my body just goes with the adrenaline.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I've learned to let the adrenaline fuel me. And like, I find that if I over prepare, I don't do as well as if I trust myself.
Dude, we are cut from the same cloth. Like I've done a lot of public speaking throughout my time, and I don't like being too prepared for my speech. Like, you know, there's all these stories of Steve Jobs. He go through his thing like 100 times, whatever. I get nervous.
Would he? Really?
No, not 100, a lot.
But like he would practice. He would
practice a lot.
Okay.
Famously, President Obama would only go through one run of his speech of the State of the Union, and he'd be out. I just learned that recently. Not that I'm comparing myself to Obama by any stretch of the imagination. But what I'm saying is, I would not like to be too prepared. Like let's go back, like when I was speaking in high school and college. I almost like to just have the general idea because I feel like I would perform better off the cuff than trying to remember an exact speech.
Yeah, I found that the only way I can do an exact speech and do it well is go so far in the prep mode that it becomes like, it feels like instinct again. And then like I did a commencement speech for my high school last year, which was awesome.
I think I saw that.
Yeah. Well, thank you for watching.
Yeah, of course.
And that was one where I had the script that I wrote it out and I practiced it. It's like word for word. Cause I was afraid if I went off the cuff, that it might not be funny. I was afraid that I could just get distracted. I was mostly afraid that it would go way too long.
Right.
But that one I practiced and then eventually I almost didn't need the paper. And then it started to feel closer back to being off the cuff. And I said a few things off the cuff because I knew it so well.
Right.
But the middle zone for me is horrific. Like, if it's, practice 4 times, then it's like, it doesn't, I do much better with similar to you of like, I generally know what I want to do. I will let myself make some connections in real time, see where we end up.
I like scaffolding. Like, I'm like, give me the sort of conversation scaffolding, give me the beats. Yes. And then like, let's see what happens spontaneously.
Yeah. I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, Ron, it's good to see you.
Yeah, you too.
It's fun to have you here today. And, the show's called Talking Too Loud. So I have to start by asking you, what's got you talking too loud? What are you excited about today?
Oh, my gosh. I was actually fretting over this question because I knew it was coming. And I was trying to think, what's a cool answer I could give that makes me sound intellectual?
Yeah. What do you got?
I haven't read any books lately.
Yeah. What philosophy book are you reading?
What information can I look up on Claude right now to figure out I could talk about? Or I thought, okay, if I were being really honest, what's like really got me excited and talking too loud. My concern there was it would sound like I was being not self-serving, but some of the things that really got me talking too loud, like, is honestly, this is the honest truth, is like vibe coding. And that I'm not saying that just because I work for Replit, but it's true. Like some of the things I've been working on are really cool, and they've got me excited. They got me talking too loud. The one personal project I've been working on that I want to put out at some point is a tool that can be used by people who like to debate religion and philosophy, because I do a lot of that that's like my hobby, for lack of a better word. And I'm frequently having to do research when I get into these kind of debates or conversations. So like I wanted a tool that would be like a nonpartisan tool where you could look up like what is the biblical scholarship consensus on what the Bible says about slavery, or what the Bible says about how women were treated in ancient Israel, something like that. Or what do philosophers say about objective morality versus subjective, that kind of thing, where you can look it up really quickly and find the best arguments, the best top 2 or 3 arguments for each side. So I've been kind of like a vibe coding a tool to do that. But even some of the stuff I'm doing for work is cool. So my honest answer is vibe coding is what's got me talking too loud.
Well, look, that's a great answer. I think that sets us up well for the whole episode. But
and I did not plan it, I promise.
Well, it's funny because I have been. I feel like the turning point has occurred, right? And like, if you are using these tools and you are vibe coding, the scary thing is, oh man, anyone can do this. What does this mean for the stuff I used to do? And the unbelievable thing is, anyone can do this,
right?
And it is going to change so much. I've vibe coded some things this week that I cannot believe that I have been able to do because they're actually a part of the Wistia product.
Awesome.
And that was just like a dream like a year ago. And it's like actually so cool. Like the reality. So yeah, but I do think that this transition for people is really tough. And I kind of want to dive into that in today's episode. And I thought we could start with, you wrote this LinkedIn post recently that kind of reads like a fable on innovation. Right. And I was wondering if you could just kind of walk us through that story and what made you write it.
Yeah, for sure. So it's called the Parable of Paradox. I recently put it into Notebook LLM and it changed the title a bit. I'm actually going to talk about that in a minute. But it's called the Parable of Paradox. And what inspired me was I was going through LinkedIn and I follow a number of creators who are AI filmmakers and video producers. And inevitably, one of them will post their latest short film created with AI, and then it'll get people who say, wow, this is amazing. And then you'll get a ton of people, AI slop, AI slop, AI slop. You'll get VFX artists saying, this sucks. People are going to lose their jobs. I hope you like what you're doing to the energy industry. Yeah. You heathen. They just start saying all these things, being really nasty, even when these things are empirically amazing to look at. And I say, oh, that's not even a real story. As if every video has to have a 3-arc structure and follow Joseph Campbell's, and so I see all these things and it reminded me, I don't want to date myself, but it reminded me of the kinds of things that I saw a lot of photographers say when digital came out, like DSLR came out and the 5D came out. People saying, film photographers saying, I'm never going to use scrap, digital is scrap. Yeah. It was and then I've done a lot of history and research on history on this topic. So like it goes all the way back. People complaining about technology. Paul de la Ruche is this French painter in the mid 1840s. And he's famous for saying, like when he saw a photograph, he's famous for saying, painting is dead. Right. And so it's as old as tale as old as time. And so I wrote this fable. It's called the Parable of Paradox, and it talks about this country called Dillingham, and the people are Dillinghamians, or D-hams for short. And
D-hams
in the house. and really, all the names were just, except for the last name, all the names were really just stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
I wanted to show that this story is 100% human written. I did not use AI to write the story. And when you hear the names, you'll believe it.
You'll know.
You'll know. Especially when you get to the last name. And so the D-hams, for 500 years, they were the shit. Oh, I forgot.
No, yeah, it's cool.
Okay, good. All right, sorry.
I know.
They really
it's so cool. Here, you can do whatever you want.
Right? And then a new group of DHAMs came up with a way of doing the things that the DHAMs did. It never specifies what differently and better. And they called themselves the Charmed. And people started doing things the Charmed way. And the DHAMs were complaining about it. You're going to take our jobs. This sucks. This isn't real, whatever it is that we do. And then the Charmed became the new thing. So now they were the shit. And then for 100 years, it was the Charmed. And then a small group of the Charmed came out and they started doing the things the way the Charmed used to do, just a little bit differently, a little bit better. And they called themselves the Wowians. And the Wowians were like, they were setting this new trend. And the Charmed started complaining, you're taking our jobs. This isn't real, what it is, whatever it is that we do. Mm-hmm. And then for like 5 decades, it was the Wowians. And then out of the Wowians came the Freakazoids. That's how you know I made this up. So then the Freakazoids were the ones who were changing everything. And then the story goes on to say, basically, you get the idea. Every generation, there is this technological advancement where the old guard starts complaining and the new guard creates this new way of doing things. But then the new guard becomes the old guard, right? And so, and I put into it, all this has happened before, and all this has happened again, which is a famous line from Battlestar Galactica. If you know, you know. And so, and I also put in there "Such is the Way," which is from The Mandalorian, which I don't think is as good as Battlestar Galactica, but
not bad. Yeah,
but not bad, right? The first season.
Yeah.
Anyway, then the moral of the story, Chris, is that technology changes. Every generation, there's people complaining. I've seen it personally in my own career. I've read about it. You continuously see it. And I thought it was ironic to see so many visual effects artists, like digital, like CGI artists complaining about AI, because like artists who used to do special effects with like clay and stop motion, they complained about CGI art.
Yeah.
They literally said the same thing about you that you're saying about AI in terms of
exactly the same, right?
Exactly the same. And so
I've thought about it with the music piece.
Oh, for sure.
Okay, we have more musicians that have ever existed on Earth. Every single person, if you have a laptop, you can take beats that don't require you to have instruments,
right? And
you're making unbelievable music left and right. That was incredibly disruptive to what existed before. Yeah. That was an art. It put it into more people's hands, and now we have like this unbelievable abundance of music, and it's happening again. And it's like both. It's the same disruption again, but now because it's disrupting you, obviously it feels concerning if you're that person.
For sure. And as you know, Chris, all musicians are dead now. There are no more good musicians in the world.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know if you know this. I'm going to be performing at the Super Bowl next year with a little ditty I put together using AI.
Well, okay. This is super interesting and relevant to AI right now, right? Like the sort of irony of this cycle, the old guard, new guard, back to old guard, and like the democratization, right, of tools. And I feel like there are lots of different ways that people can metabolize that fable, right? Like they can feel super complainy, for lack of a better word. Like they can feel like really displaced, or they can be like, how do I learn this new tool? Could it make my work better? Like, where do you net out on that? Both of you, actually. Like, where do you net out on where should the people who are specialists go next? Where should the people who are lay people go next?
You want to start, Chris?
Sure. I think that the specialists, if you were an amazing musician, to keep that one analogy going, like in the world of GarageBand, you're going to be unbelievable in the world of AI music.
Yeah.
And everything you've learned is going to be applicable. It's just the interface into it is different. And so I think like the hardest part is that it feels so scary to look down the barrel of something that feels like it could disrupt you. and may require change. And so it's, I think, like, my experience, that is the hardest part. You have something to lose, right? It's in this moment, everybody with something to lose is concerned.
Right.
And the people who have nothing to lose, who are brand new, are mostly really excited. You know, and I think that's what's so interesting, is that these two things are happening at once. And if you do have something to lose, but you can actually figure out what's the edge of that you can bring to this new world, I think that the impact you can make is like really tremendous. And so, but it's that moment of looking at it is so scary. That's like my thought.
Yeah. I think you kind of almost have to look at it like you're free soloing. Lately I've been watching Alex Honnold, the craziest man on earth. He's the guy who free soloed El Capitan a number of years ago. And then Netflix recently put out him free soloing Taipei 101.
Did you watch that?
I've been watching in pieces. It's kind of, it's not as exciting
yeah. Apparently this one was like quote very easy for him.
I was literally going to say that, because it's kind of like climbing a ladder for most of it. It's nothing like El Capitan. But the thing about free soloing is your life or death choices, and you have to make there's some choices you absolutely have to make. Like, if you want to survive, there's certain choices you're going to have to make. No ifs, ands, buts, if you don't want to die. And I think when I think about technology, that's the analogy I use. There are going to be choices you will have to make depending on where you are in your creative career, in terms of new tools you use, in terms of new training you may have to go through, in terms of new perspectives. And if you don't make those, your career will probably die if you don't make those changes. And again, as it tells all the time, it goes all the way back. Painters thought that they were going to lose their jobs. To my knowledge, people are still buying, $1 million paintings that were painted.
Yeah, the elite level paintings are worth more than they've ever been worth.
Yeah. And I think that's an opportunity. Do you have the ability to create art that is so bespoke, so unique, that people can't help but see the difference between AI or whatever, and they go for it? And so, you're going to have to make changes that you, in order to survive. And you, to your point, Chris, you find out and you discover for yourself what things uniquely are mine that I can infuse into these new tools. And, one way I use writing, most of the writing I do, if I'm writing like personal stories or like fables, whatever, I 100% do. But sometimes I do want to use AI, and I've trained the AI tools that I use to like know my style or whatever. And I truly think of it like a writing collaboration partner. If I was working with someone, that's a way, as a writer, perhaps you may learn how to create something that sounds uniquely yours, has your voice, but you've used AI, whether you're using it for research or maybe it's writing a draft that gets it 50% there, and then you come in and you finish it off. So from writing to filmmaking to music, if you are a skilled artist, you will find a way to infuse your unique personality, your unique look at the world. And you can use AI the same way a painter uses a paintbrush. And it's about that journey of discovery. If that makes sense.
I agree. And I think it's a lot of these things it is about that journey of discovery. It's about being flexible. And it also is like, it's funny. Like the vibe coding is a great example. You make something, you can make an app that you could never have made before.
Right.
I'm about to go on a 2-week trip with some great friends. One of my friends was like, I'm going to build an app for us, like an iOS app that has our itinerary. Nice. You can put in ideas for locations. When we get close to it, the location will pop up. All this stuff. Would he have done this before? No. But now he's done it. We're using it. And he starts thinking, like, where else can I create these apps? And he wasn't making apps in all these other places. He has nothing to lose on the like software development side. But you can see how he could actually end up making something that's going to require a lot of help.
Yes.
If more people use it. And then he, will accidentally become an entrepreneur. And, you know what I mean? Like, and he's going to have to hire technical people who know how to build products and manage them. And I think that's like a very hard thing to like factor in to all of this. Like, it's very, very hard to imagine the explosion of opportunity that comes on the other side of this in almost every creative aspect.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's on the vibe coding side. I think it's on the music side. I think it's on the image generation side. Yeah, and I think it's just like opening our eyes. We're only really getting glimpses, but starting to see glimpses of what are all the new things that we can create together, and how will that change jobs and what we do.
Yeah,
because a lot of those things are going to need the experts to help shepherd them through.
Oh, for sure. And to your friend's point, oftentimes what happens is, especially if you're trying something new, you start learning things that you didn't learn before. So one of the vibe coders here created this app for creating music, because we were doing this internal campaign to come up with a theme for Replit, right? And so he designed it in such a way where you can feed it ideas, you can upload lyrics, but it creates a song for you. And then you can have it created 100%, or you can add to it and customize it. Well, I was playing with it, and I was like hooked for like all weekend. I was playing. It was like a toy. I was playing with it, creating these songs, and I felt like a music producer. Now, if you're a music producer, listen to this. By no stretch of the imagination am I a music producer. But what I found myself doing was I got better outputs when I knew what the F I was doing. So I was doing research. Okay, what's a bar? I started doing. I wanted to create a song that sounded like XYZ. Okay, so I was looking at that song, like what is the measures and what are the bars in this Eminem song. And then I was looking it up, and I started going down this rabbit hole about how Eminem writes his music. And I was learning all these things about music, inputting it into the thing so that I could bite off of Eminem. Just kidding. But even
there's only one. There's only one.
There's only one Slim Shady. There's only one Slim Shady, right? But my point is, you start learning. There's a certain level of knowledge you have to know to get the most out of these tools, and that's an aspect that a lot of people don't know. And one thing I learned from the webinar you guys all did a few months ago, where you did that Pixar
the Lenny video,
is you don't just put it in a prompt and get a cartoon, which I think a lot of people describe AI. Oh, just a few words, you can get this thing. There's so much more to that's involved that even has nothing to do with AI. And so there's a level of ignorance about what goes into some of these as well that I think freaks people out.
Yeah, I think the first thing you were saying, sort of like that creative rabbit hole that you get to go down by like playing with some of these tools, is a surprise and a delight that I didn't expect as someone who is more, let's say, pessimistic.
We won't say Luddite, will we?
No. But like the doom and dread of it all is very real for me. Like, I think it's very real for someone who has that sort of like more like pessimistic slant on things. And I think I wasn't making room for that surprise and delight of, like, oh, well, what happens if I like really start working with ChatGPT as a writing partner and like kick the tires on a draft of something? Like, what happens? And then you're right. Like, I'm like, oh, but you know what it's making me realize? What I really want to do is change that first line so I can stop the scroll. Like, let me really dial in. So it's like this precision, this question begetting more questions that has been so freaking fun.
Yeah.
That I'm just like, I don't know. Parts of this are very fun.
Exactly.
Point blank.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There's parts of it that are so fun, I think, that it's like and very addicting.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a problem, which is like I am making so much stuff, and you get the results so rapidly, and like I'm trying so many different things. Like, I have an OpenClaw running on an old MacBook, and I hooked it up to a bunch of image generation and making like testing thumbnails and building all these A/B tests. And it takes time. Each time it's like makes like, takes 10 minutes, 15 minutes, generates all the stuff. I tell it my favorites, go back and it does more, but it's like a video game.
Right.
And it's what it feels like. It's like I'm making progress through the world, doing a thing that I couldn't do before, that probably we weren't going to do otherwise. Which is kind of gets me to the next thing I want to get into, which is like, you know, a lot of these tools and stuff, they're changing who has permission to build. And we're talking about different pieces of this, but I thought maybe we could dig in a little bit on the video side, and talk about what you're seeing there.
Yeah. I mean, obviously seeing the creation of video using AI, you know, another candidate I had for talking too loud was this video I came across. It's called The Something of Bone. It's like a retelling of the Captain Hook story, and it's a multi-part series. If you post this, you really should find it, because I want to give credit to the author.
Okay.
Because I just thought about it. I'll find it. But the particular clip I saw on LinkedIn was like part 5, and it starts with like all these people on a pirate ship. I could not, in this particular clip, I could not tell that the humans were AI. Like, I could tell the opening shot of the ship, you know, looked like it was CGI or whatever. But I could not tell that the humans were AI. And I anyone who says that they could, I would think would be lying if you looked at what was created. And again, that could be scary. But again, that's the world we're in. You get choices you need to make when you're free soloing El Capitan. And so obviously there's that aspect of AI in video, where AI can be used to create these fantastical worlds. But again, that opens up anyone with an imagination to create these fantastical worlds. And whether you're using CGI or AI, that's something important. The other aspect is the ability to quickly create sort of like animated videos. So that's one feature that Replit recently came out with. And, you know, to some extent, it is going to challenge or threaten agencies who make a lot of money from that. In fact, just today, I'm posting a blog on our blog about a webinar, a live stream we did a couple of weeks ago, where one of the engineers here, one of the designers here, who like created the video animation feature at Replit, he was just kind of playing around with it because he wanted to create a video to announce this new design feature, and he ended up getting a whole new feature in Replit, right? And so, but he was talking about how this is now going to take the place, and he was talking like an excited designer. So I think it was a little hyperbolic, some of the things he was saying personally, but he was saying that, like, you know, you no longer have to pay for agencies and stuff. There's always going to be a place for agencies, and smart agencies are going to use these tools in order to make their work that much better. We work with agencies that do use AI, and they do it really well. And so, but there is going to be that aspect of it. And I think, you know, going to your question of like who has permission to build and how that's impacting video, from the high end, creating these movies, you know, whether it's, you know, Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt fighting on a rooftop, you know, and the whole issue of IP and stealing people, that's a whole separate topic. And even that's a topic that's as old as time, because people were stealing IP long before AI existed.
Yeah.
You know, go watch Everything is a Remix by Kirby Ferguson if you've never seen that series. But so from that level to just simple launch videos, animation videos for your business. But imagine the possibilities that it opens for a small mom and pop or a solopreneur or a small shop that doesn't have the money to afford a $10,000, $20,000, 30-second video, but now can use something that is good enough. It's not going to be amazing. It's not going to be great, but it's good enough to announce a new project, announce a new feature that they have. And so you are opening the world. And I think when you open the world up to new minds that never used to think about video, but now they're thinking about video, you bring in new perspectives. And some of the best videos that I've worked on over the years have been when I've invited people who aren't videographers, who don't look through video cameras all day, and they think and they look at the world differently, and they bring their perspective, and that impacts how I edit something or how I shoot something, and that makes the art en masse even better, I believe, when you start bringing in these new perspectives, because now you're inviting to the table people who were never there and they have new perspectives. You know, like when you go from a writer's room that has, 12 white men writing the story versus a writer's room that has, 6 men, 6 women, some are black, some are white, some are gay, some are straight, some are trans. Like that story is gonna be a lot more interesting than, the other. And so, not there's anything wrong with white men, Chris.
When it's when it's democratized. Right.
What did you say, Chris? I'm sorry. Sylvia and I are over here just laughing.
We were laughing.
No, what I was going to say is that, but that can only when the technology and the creative approach is democratized, suddenly that becomes very easy to do.
Yes.
Where before it was not, right? Like, you're looking at how many people have done these different jobs historically and how long it takes for people to switch over jobs and all this kind of stuff. That kind of all goes out the door now,
right? Because
it's fully democratized.
Yeah. And I would even say it's more democratized. I wouldn't say it's fully democratized. I would say that's
true. More
exponentially more democratized than it was. And I think like people who embrace change, people who like engaging with new perspectives are the people who are going to thrive in this new world. And there are so many aspects of video production that AI can help you with, that if your gut reaction is to say AI slop and to hate anything related to AI to the point where you don't want anything to do with it, and you're missing out on, well, how can it help me in my post-production process? How can it help me in my edit? Like I'm going through the editing process, and there are ways that aren't necessarily impacting like what people see on the screen that still help you in your process that AI can help with, that you, if you're that much of a curmudgeon, that you miss out on as well.
Well, it's interesting, I hope you're okay with me saying this, but Remix, which just launched, you're in the beta for that and you were using it and giving us tons of feedback.
Yep.
And one of the things I found like really interesting when we were last chatting and going through this is you're like, hey, this part, going through a webinar that I did not attend, finding the clips, finding the moments, helping me understand what should this actually be about, super helpful. AI narration to fill out the story, interesting, but like I really need it to sound really good.
Right.
Or I can't use it.
Like a human. You need the narration to sound
And when it's so good you can't tell, great. Which it's like we actually just did a big update on that yesterday. I don't know if you've tried the newest version yet, but it's another big leap forward. But the that's where you need the taste, right? You need the person who knows how to do this, has an idea of like what your audience is going to respond to. And if you've been in the industry for a long time, and you've built up this skill, you can guess, you can understand, you can have empathy to them. How will they respond to this thing that I make? How do I take the mix of all the options I have in front of me and put it together to make the best thing that's going to do the job right now, but also save me hopefully a ton of time because of the tools automating, pushing, trying, helping me find things I couldn't find otherwise.
It was so funny. I was just saying to you, Savage, I hate the word taste. Like it's come up so much recently, like as a differentiator. And I feel like the reason I don't like it is because I feel like it obscures what's actually like what the thing is.
Yeah.
Right. And what I think taste means is that you have so many reference points. You are a consumer of the thing that you are making. You have read books, you have read plays, you have read poetry, you've watched documentaries, you've watched narrative films. You have seen so many different iterations and you know why some things work and some things don't. You have built your own conviction around that, right? Like you have interrogated your own judgment.
That's the only way to do it, right?
But that is the thing that is so hard to cultivate, that ultimately, like you're saying, Savage, like that is where you can't fake that. You can't fake that.
And you're also trending towards that being the gating factor on things, which it arguably was before too.
Right. No, it was.
Where it's like, okay, I'm going to use all these tools that automate all these amazing things, help me do things I couldn't do otherwise. And where I determine it's a safe place to use them, I will use them. But also, today I'm going to make this video, and we're going to have a huge budget. We're going to be on a set. It's a perfectly scripted thing. has real human beings in it, and it has actors, it has all this stuff. We're going to have effects because you know that for the job you're trying to get that video to solve, it is very important that the brand be flawless, that it represent exactly the right, and it's knowing when to use the tools, right?
Yes.
I think is like the thing.
Yes.
Which is just very interesting because that part, I think if all of this was presented with like this nuance, I don't think it'd be really scary at all. I think it'd be just like really exciting. But it is, as you were saying before, Ron, everything's so hyperbolic. It's like every job is disappearing tomorrow. And it's like, they're all cooked. They're all cooked. And then the expert in that field jumps in and is like, I actually don't think so. But it's like, that doesn't go viral, so we don't see it.
Right. It's case folly. As you were talking, Sylvie, I was thinking about something you used to say in the black church. Preach, preacher.
I'll take that. I will receive that.
Because it's true. Because the thing you bring to it and the knowledge you bring to it is going to make the difference. And a perfect example. Last year, the job I was in before this, I had a brand and content strategy for HubSpot for startups, and I did this digital magazine for which I interviewed you. Chris, thank you. You were one of the cover stories.
Thank you and Brendan.
So yeah.
Cover story. Okay.
But part of doing that job was me using AI to do a lot of the research to prepare for the interviews. And one, I distinctly remember like the knowledge I have about the industry that I'm doing and the people I'm played a huge part, even in the research part, because I remember distinctly what my process was. Like I would take transcripts from past interviews that the people had done on YouTube and podcasts and stuff, have Claude transcribe it, whatever, and then come up with a list of questions that either fill in some of the gaps or takes into different nuance. And I remember for one CEO I was about to interview, one of the questions had to do with the company moving to Austin, Texas. And I remember thinking to myself, I could have sworn I saw a picture of their company in San Francisco. So I'm asking, I feel certain, I already outed who I was using. So I asked Claude. They all do this. So it doesn't matter. I say Claude, ChatGPT. So I asked Claude, in question number 4, you said something about the company moving to Austin, Texas. Where did you get that information? Was it in one of the transcripts? Because I think they're in San Francisco. Its response was, "Oh yeah, I'm sorry. You're right. I erred. They actually are in San Francisco." And I'm like, "The fuck? Did you just made the ish up? You just made it all up, right?" So they hallucinate. But because I knew what I was doing, I knew enough about this industry, I knew enough about this particular company, that infused and informed how I was interacting with AI, just like I would with any human partner who might make a similar mistake. And that knowledge goes a long way.
It's the editing part, I think.
Yeah.
Right. It's like where and I feel for people who have never had the opportunity to manage somebody, because if you end up managing people, inherently what ends up happening is you see the works great. But sometimes you look at something like, I need to give feedback on this.
Yes.
Like, I think it could be done different. You have to be an editor. And when you get used to that, there's like some percentage of your brain power that's basically always going to that.
Right.
And it's low, especially when it's high trust. It's high when somebody's new. It's high when whatever. But like at scale, it can become low, but it's still there. And you basically have to have that on as your judgment layer on everything you're doing when you're automating, saving time, creation with AI. And without that, things can spin out of control rapidly.
Yeah. No, like you're spot on. You have to be on top of it and infusing your knowledge into the thing that you're creating. One is going to make it stand out. That's what's going to give it its uniqueness. Because again, people had the ability to copy long before AI came along. And the people who stood out were the ones who had this work that kind of just where you could tell the signature style of a particular artist, whether it's a filmmaker, a musician, whatever. Like the artists who have that sort of signature style, whether it's their voice or how they shoot or how they edit or how they write, goes a long way. And you can infuse that into your art if you're using AI to help you create that art.
This makes me think. I feel like if I was a comedian, I could do a whole bit on how Jews.
Try it. Go ahead.
Jews are well positioned for this moment because we always ask why.
Yes.
That's like we're like, why?
Yeah.
But one of my favorite things to do with ChatGPT is like, tell me why. Tell me why you think this is good. Tell me how you reach this conclusion. I guess that's a little Buddhist of me. How? But I want to understand their thinking because it helps me clarify my own, right? Like when I watch a movie and I remember like my dad actually used to do this, like when my sister and I were little, like, well, what did you like about it? Why did you like it? It wasn't enough to just say, this is good. Yeah. Right? Like that part of the process is delicious and valuable. And wow, I just said delicious and I made myself uncomfortable.
That'll be clip that.
I think it's because you're talking about I haven't eaten yet.
Worry, don't explain yourself.
I haven't eaten any lunch yet or breakfast. I'm so hungry. I want to. Okay, it doesn't matter. We'll edit that out or we'll leave it in.
Leave it in.
Laugh at me.
Yeah, leave it in.
Anyhow, that part is so fun. I relish it. I think it's. I hope that people who like maybe that's not their natural comfortable state can kind of learn to enjoy that. And yeah, that's
if I may be so bold, because you mentioned Jews, in my own personal spiritual journey, for a long time I sort of identified as a Christian and I consider myself agnostic. But in my personal journey, where I am now, I have a new appreciation for different religions that I could never learn about in my way I used to live my life, whatever. And one of the things I've really appreciated, because I follow a lot of Jewish, not a lot, but a number of Jewish creators on TikTok. And then there's this one woman I follow. Her name is Switcheroo. She doesn't listen to this kind of stuff, but she's actually.
Who knows? Maybe she is today.
You're right. But what's interesting about her, she actually used to be like an evangelical Christian a long time ago, and then some number of years ago, she converted to Orthodox Judaism. I mean, she always has her hair covered, whatever. But she has this quirky personality, and she's a voracious reader. And I remember a lot of content I make, it's kind of provocative and it challenges people what they believe and why they believe it and whatnot. And a number of times people get offended because they have one particular way of doing things. There's a point I'm getting to as it relates to our conversation. They have one particular way of believing or thinking things as it relates to the Bible. So a lot of Christians have a particular way of believing certain things about the Bible. And one of the things I found interesting is, well, when you read the original Hebrew scriptures, that thing wasn't what the original Hebrews meant that thing to be, right? And so, but I was listening, she was making this video where she talked about how the Jewish temple was kind of designed or inspired by an Egyptian temple or something like that. And I asked her, that's curious, when you make videos like that, do other Jews get offended? Do they call you a heretic because you're insinuating that, Adonai, had you copy a temple from some other pagan religion? And her response was interesting. She said, and I asked her, because I made a video asking her about this, and she said, well, and I said, I know you don't speak for all Jews, but I'm curious. And what she said was interesting. She said, well, in Jewish culture, they're used to just questioning everything anyway. Everyone's always, it's kind of built into the DNA to question things, to question God, to question whatever, because in the spiritual community I came from, you're not supposed to question God. Mm-hmm. And so where I find this ties into the conversation about art is so many people have this hard set rule of what things have to be, like how you're supposed to edit or how things are supposed to look or how things are supposed to sound. And they have these hard and fast rules that you're not allowed to break. And if you break them, you're a heretic, like I was joking earlier. And I think once you approach the creation of art in a way where where nothing's off limits. Like it doesn't matter, how many M dashes you have. Like if you want to use an M dash, use an M dash, right? Don't worry about whether or not people are going to accuse you of something else. It doesn't matter if you have VO. If you can use, because they always say show, don't tell, whatever. But there are some movies that use VO really well, voiceover really well. Yeah. And so it's okay to break the quote unquote rules, and everything doesn't have to be so hard and fast. And I think when artists can approach their art sort of the way Jews approach their scriptures, you get a lot more creative art out of it. Personally, that's just like the connection that I'm making to it.
I love it. My rabbi would be so proud.
I don't think people were expecting this kind of.
No one expected this.
No.
Because we had an open mind about where we're at.
That's right.
Exactly.
Exactly. There's no one way to make a podcast about art and filmmaking. If you want to talk about religion and politics or whatever, you can do that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, I have one last question for you, which is a hard one. So buckle up.
Okay.
I told you this isn't a gotcha podcast.
I like gotcha questions anyway, so it doesn't matter.
What if you could fast forward 10 years in time?
Yeah.
What do you think we'll look back on this moment as?
Oh, I think we'll look back on this moment the same way we kind of look back on the moment when digital hit the scene. I think we'll, because honestly, the way this technology moves, 10 years is like 2 generations. It doesn't seem that long ago, but we're going to see technological advancements every couple of years. That's where 10 years from now, I think 10 years from now, you are going to see feature-length movies made with AI that look like they're 95% there, if not 100% there, where you cannot tell that it was that no human was involved. And I think we're going to look back on this moment as the people who saw that coming and started working with it and coming up with ways in which they could infuse their unique spin on it, coming up with ways to keep it human. I think one of the things that eats at people about this whole topic around AI is they feel like, and I can understand and I can empathize with this because I feel this too. They feel like it takes the humanity out of the art, right? Everyone on the screen is not a human. Well, if you watch a Pixar movie, everyone on the screen is not a human either, right? The only difference is the Pixar movie looks like a cartoon, and 10 years from now, these feature-length AI movies, the people look real. But it's no different than a Pixar movie. It's just a different type of animation, right? It still is going to require a human infusion of spirit, of soul, of passion in order to bring it to life. And that is going to find its way to the screen. There's going to be a lot of slop, just like there's a lot of slop today. Like you always have slop. Slop existed long before AI. Yeah. And so I think 10 years from now, we're going to look it back as the start of a new, I wouldn't call it a genre, but a new form of movie and film creation, just like animation was, just like stop motion was, just like everything else was. And we're going to, the people who were, I don't even want to call it a bandwagon, but the people who saw that the train was leaving the station, they're the ones who are going to be doing that kind of art. And a lot of the naysayers today, because I remember a lot of photographers swearing up and down who were film photographers, they would never shoot digital. A year later, they were all using the Canon 5D Mark II. Like it, and you are going to see a lot of naysayers, some of which may even become the forefront, because a lot of naysayers, a lot of naysayers are the ones who are really talented. They are particularly invested in the passion. And a lot of the best digital photographers were the naysayers who were film photographers. They finally got it. And then they learned how to take their skills as a film photographer to the digital realm. And I think a lot of the naysayers today about AI who are eventually going to get it, if they get it fast enough, they're the ones who are going to rise to the top.
Yeah. I believe what you're saying, and it made me think too. Like in 10 years, will the Oscars just literally have a category?
Oh yeah,
and it's like best AI feature film, best AI short, and probably just lives alongside these other things.
Yeah,
and
I can see
so
that.
It's like because I also find this like it's also interesting the way these things interplay because if you are an amazing storyteller in 2015 and you want to make a feature film, but you have no access and no budget, you cannot do it.
Yeah.
And in 2026, you probably could. In 2028, you'll be able to, right? So there's be no permission. And so we're going to see people, I bet we'll see unbelievable AI films that then those people get hired and they get the huge budget to go make.
Exactly.
Like this standard Hollywood movie. I think that's probably going to happen and probably happen pretty quickly. But also because we do like to know where these things come together. And if you can't even tell if it's made with AI, it's so good, probably just make it a separate category.
Yeah. Or be part of animation. The only pushback I put on the Academy making a category is they're so freaking slow at things.
Yeah. So I think 10 years it might happen when it's like,
I don't know. Even with the Academy, I don't know. but I do see, I could see it being part of like the animation category or a technical achievement category. I wouldn't be surprised if it happened for that reason, because I think it is inevitable. We're going to see more and more AI based movies. One of my other favorite podcasts besides yours is The Town, and with Matt Bellany. It's about the business of Hollywood, but he interviews a lot of people who are starting. Lately he's interviewed a number of owners of companies who create this kind of content and where it's going, and so I think it's only inevitable that is going to have a place, and they are going to bring Hollywood kicking and screaming, as you always have to bring Hollywood when these kind of things happen.
Yeah,
for sure.
Well, look, Ron, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Where should people go to find you? Where can they connect with you?
Yeah, well, it kind of depends on what it is they're interested in. If they're interested, I think most people listening to this would love to follow me on LinkedIn. When I do make a post, I always try to use, like, my quote unquote brand is using pop culture analogies in the business and artistic lessons, like writing a fable, that I follow. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, just look for Ron Dawson. The work I'm doing at Replit, I lead content marketing here, so we follow the Replit blog. There's some cool stuff coming out that you're not going to want to miss. And if you're a little bit more dangerous, you could find me on the TikToks at Blurred Ronner, BLERDRONNER. But again, that's only if you want to live dangerously. My LinkedIn life is very different than my TikTok life. I'll just tell you that.
Well, that's intriguing.
Yeah. Funny side note, real quick. So my nickname is Blade Runner, and it's I use it for everything. I think it's my login for my personal whiskey account too. So it's the name of my personal media company, Blade Runner Media. But for those in the know, it's a play on Blade Runner. I just take the runner into runner because my name is Ron. And so, but my Slack handle is Blade Runner. And so a lot of the younger folks here who don't know any better think my first name is Blade.
That's great. Yeah.
So a lot of people are calling me Blade.
My God.
First, I corrected them, but then I was like, but Blade is actually kind of a cool too. Like, you can call me Blade or you can call me Blade Runner.
You are living in the future, my friend.
You are. You're Wesley Snipes and you're Harrison Ford. So
all wrapped to one.
Yeah.
Why did you say Harrison Ford and not Ryan Gosling? Huh?
Come on.
Yeah.
Now. Come on now.
What are you trying to say, Sylvie?
The OG.
I know. I'm joking. The OG. No, that's right.
Yeah.
So my personal TikTok handle is a play on that Blurred, because I'm a black nerd. Blurred Runner. So again, live dangerously, go there. But yeah, follow me on LinkedIn, and you'll see a lot of cool stuff happening.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Ron. Good to see you.
Yeah, you too. Thanks for having me, guys. This has been great.
That's it for this week's episode of Talking Too Loud. If you want more insights from us, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter at wistia.com. If you want more clips, find us on Instagram, TikTok, and of course, YouTube. If you have guest ideas or topics you'd like to get loud about, DM us on LinkedIn.